This week on the Canadian Tech Podcast, Samsung will let you use FM radio chips in their phones soon. Toronto wants to be smarter, don't melt down over meltdown, and IBM thinks blockchain is good for marijuana. That's all next and more on the Canadian Tech Podcast. The Canadian Tech Podcast is sponsored by Olio Digital Labs. Olio are the planners, designers, and developers of the apps used by some of Canada's biggest brands. Find out what Olio can do for you at oliodigitallabs.com. And we're also sponsored by CodeShip, continuous integration and delivery software that lets you ship your apps with confidence. Both CodeShip Basic and CodeShip Pro come with a free plan that grants 100 builds per month, unlimited projects, and unlimited users. Visit codeship.com today to find out which CodeShip product is right for you.
Welcome to the Canadian Tech Podcast, episode 145 for Sunday, January the 14th, 2018. Sponsored by Olio Digital Labs and CodeShip. My name is Stuart Clark.
And my name is Derek, the Crypto Canuck Silva.
We're going to talk a little bit about that later.
You can't see the finger guns, but I'm pointing at the mic.
Oh, dear.
Crypto
I tell you, welcome to the future, 2018. Yes, we've been off the air for a little while.
Almost
mainly
a month.
Because a whole month, mainly because I have been sick as a dog with that flu and the holidays too. We were going to take a couple of weeks off for the holidays, but
yeah.
Then I got very, very sick, and I would not wish it on my worst enemy. So yeah, from Boxing Day, we managed to get Christmas in, but from Boxing Day on, I even had to miss the first 2 days back at work in the new year. And actually today and yesterday, I was just telling Derek before we went on air, is actually I'm almost back to what normal is for me. I will just say
right.
Normal. This is what normal is for me.
Yeah, and the other reason, I was going to go, but it's not really a type moment.
No,
is we're just kind of not into it right now.
Well, we're kind of busy.
We're both really busy. We all know that. You were working 2 jobs for a little while there.
Oh God, yes.
And I work 7 or 8. No, that's an exaggeration. But I have several things going on, and it's just I don't know. It seems things are always moving, of course, but there's. Maybe I'll rant about this later. Yeah, I will rant about this a little bit later, right towards the end of the show. But there's no, other than blockchain technology specifically and the possibilities there's nothing big happening anymore. Like truly life-changing stuff.
Right.
We've all got computers. Most of us, literally, the majority of us have supercomputers with touch screens in our pockets now all day with tons of sensors. We can somewhat easily all get connected, God knows what, throughout our houses, whether it's light bulbs or switches or thermostats or lamps or whatever that you can literally talk to, and that's fun. But it's just. I don't know. It's I'm not feeling the passion the way I was a little over 2 years ago for the weekly tech news.
Well, and that's the thing. There's a lot of other people that do it. Some do it very well,
too.
Some not as good. And it's just and we're both people. We both say if it's not something that we feel passionate about, we want to make sure we're always giving 110% in quality of the product we're giving to you, our audience. And we're just not. Yeah, we both got stuff going on, and we just don't feel right now that we're able to do that. So we're going to take a break. We're not saying it's the Canadian Tech Podcast is gone permanently. Hopefully we'll come back in some form or another. And probably both of us, you'll still hear at some point in the future us still podcasting with various different things. And there's nothing to say we won't come back the odd time for like a one-off. Special or something. We get some special guests in and stuff like that. So, but just at the moment, it's just been very challenging. I'm working a full-time job, but it's a contract, and I'm trying to do some other things as well. And it's the sickness over Christmas had me completely laid up, and that gave me a lot of time to think, which is always scary. So yeah, so
Ditto.
yeah, makes you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, and it was funny. You and I were both kind of thinking the same thing.
And honestly, I've been thinking about it for several months now, and I was just like, now's a good time. Now's a good time because somebody else was reaching out and be like, we'd like to advertise. I'm like, I'm not taking any new money right now when I'm thinking this way. And so I ran it by you, and you're like, yes, that's fair. So we'll probably see you later this year. I might put out my, if I go down this route that I'll talk about later, maybe I'll put the first episode of that thing under here to, so that people know about it.
Definitely.
Maybe we'll come back for Fireside if we get invited to go do that again, or a little bit before that, so it doesn't look like we're only coming back for that. Or next year, we don't know right now. But if we do bring it back, we'll try some new things. We'll try some more people on a more consistent basis. But we'll see what happens.
Exactly. And as I said, we always, both of us, really appreciate the support we've had from the community, from you, the audience. And I also want to reach out and thank Derek specifically, because lately Derek's been doing the bulk of the work for the show, whether it's the marketing and stuff like that. Well, I've had life challenges, shall we say. So, and Derek, I really appreciate that as well. You're
very welcome. It wasn't a problem. I was
all right.
Happy to help out.
There you go. Okay, let's get right into our.
In the meantime,
stuff happened.
Yeah, lots of stuff happened. We're going to try and cram in quite a bit here. So, quick hits. Yes. Google says it is combining. I don't think it has combined yet. It is combining Android Pay with Google Wallet, and that's going to be a new unified brand called Google Pay. Google says it'll be easier for users to use the information saved in their Google accounts, which should then speed up the checkout process. So if you've ever paid for groceries, or used Chrome to enter your credit card info, bought an app on Google Play, etc., you've been using that data that Google has about you, mostly that you've entered, of course, because it's credit cards and stuff. Right. So they say over the coming weeks, you'll see Google Pay online, in store, and across Google products, as well as when you're paying friends, according to the press release. It's already available in Airbnb, Dice, Fandango, Hungry House, and Instacart. None of those products I've actually used.
Right. How many of those are in Canada?
Instacart, Airbnb, depending on which Dice this means, Dice for sure. Right. Fandango and Hungry House, I'm pretty sure, are U.S. specific. But anyway. Okay. So it's possible that this will all arrive in Canada soon. They're starting in the U.S. because they obviously have a branding problem down there with the two. So expect to see Android Pay and Google Wallet get replaced with Google Pay soon. Of course, bring that in line with Samsung Pay and Apple Pay and
everything else.
Dogecoin Pay and all the other things.
Yes.
According to Samsung, Canadian smartphone users will be able to use the FM chip in their devices soon, thanks to a partnership between Samsung and the Next Radio app. So to take advantage of that feature, if you have a Samsung smartphone, you go download the Next Radio app, which is in the Google Play Store. But there's no word yet on what specific devices will feature unlocked FM chips. Although it's possible that the Galaxy S9, which is going to be unveiled next month in Barcelona at Mobile World Congress, could feature an unlocked FM chip. So we'll find out soon.
Cool.
Did you find out what Next Radio can do without the
I had a quick look. My whole problem
without
is,
the chip,
course,
I mean?
My whole problem is, of course, it wasn't a big interest to me because my iPhone, they still won't unlock the chip. And we were talking about some of the new iPhones don't even have the chip. Part of the thing for me is I don't want to use my data plan. So I'm sure the app will provide some stuff like that. I didn't really look, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, so it's like a tune-in radio. You can just listen to local FM stations, but if you have the chip, then you don't need to use data.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
That would be kind of nice. But as I said, I take the bus to work, and I have more than enough podcasts to keep me busy.
Yeah, I actually just unsubscribed from a bunch because I was like, I have too much.
Yeah, I did my end of the year kind of data purge, and there was various blogs and RSS feeder got a little purge, and podcast did. All those sorts of things.
In the meantime, over in Manitoba, the federal government has doled out 83.9. Oh, sorry. In total, the Manitoba's 112 communities across Manitoba, including 48 Indigenous communities, are getting $83.9 million to fund better high-speed internet access, or any high-speed internet access, I'm sure, in some of these areas. The feds are pumping in $43.7 million from the Connect to Innovate program, while the provincial government of Manitoba is providing approximately $20 million. Indigenous Services Canada, which is technically part of the federal government too, but a different department, that's $3.5 million. And $16.7 million is coming from other contributors, according to the media release. ISED also released the companies that will be receiving funding for this, including Clear Sky Communications, Valley Fiber Limited. I think we talked about them a couple months ago on this show.
Yeah, we did. We also covered the fact that, this is kind of a similar thing, for example, in Ontario. The government helped sponsor 6 communities way up north.
Yes, they did. Bell MTS is getting some money to do 8 of the communities and 9 institutions, and then Broadband Communications North is getting some money to do 6 other communities. So, good stuff. Golf claps. Good for them. Sincere golf claps.
Sincere golf claps.
Not sarcastic ones.
No, okay.
TD has bought an AI company called Layer 6. We don't know how much they spent. It's not really any of our business anyway. But Layer 6 is a really small company, only 17 employees. Every worker is going to join TD, so nobody's losing their jobs. Layer 6 has done some work with Scotiabank to help develop a personalization engine based on marketing products to people with the bank's Scene loyalty card. So that's the Cineplex Scene loyalty card. We don't know specifically what they're going to be doing, but this definitely follows the trend of RBC doing like the Know Me Insights thing, and which I do see in the app, and sometimes is actually quite useful or at least interesting. CIBC has done some work here as well. So obviously TD looking to get into that game and figured let's just do an acqui-hire and instead of trying to build a whole department from scratch.
Yep, exactly. Well, and it makes sense with the way the banks are looking. They're looking to try and automate some of these things, and of course, cutting costs.
In the end, yes, or finding ways to get you to spend more money on banking products. Realistically, like there's got to be an ROI on this. Yeah. And this follows TD launching some Alexa. Sorry, cancel. TD announcing some Amazon Amazon voice services. Banking related skills when the Amazon Echo suite of products were formally introduced to Canada a few months ago.
I thought you changed the name so you wouldn't be so,
Well, apparently Amazon can say the trigger word in their commercials because they changed the frequency of the audio. Okay. So I don't know, 16 kilohertz instead of 24 or 44 or whatever.
So you mean you can't change the trigger word?
It can be the A word, it can be echo, or it can be computer, which is very Star Trek like.
Yeah, so it's only a couple. Okay, yeah, just curious.
That's it.
Okay.
Well, I can say okay G word or hey G word for my Google Home, or Google Home Mini, which I'll mention later. I can only say okay G word for my phone, though. I can't say hey. So that's kind of which is nice because I know if I want to speak to one of the home devices, I say hey, and so my phone doesn't even bother trying to pick it up, which is kind of nice.
All right. Actually, just as a quick aside, apparently the U.S. press secretary she was using the wrong Twitter account. She was apparently lambasting Amazon because her kid was able to order some Batman set through the A word just by saying Batman over and over. Right. And then she was trying to blame Amazon where, there is parental controls that one can do. Yeah. You don't want your son all of a sudden ordering, a sports car or something.
I don't think you could buy sports cars through Amazon
Well,
yet.
you never know.
Not yet.
You never know, right?
Not yet.
No
Maybe
matter
one
what
of their marketplace resellers or something.
No matter what happens, you would be in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wouldn't get on the charge wouldn't go through realistically.
Let's hope not.
That's my safety point.
Bank loan.
I don't
Unless
have
you
the
set up a
room.
bank loan.
No. I don't have the room on my credit card for something like that to go through.
But what if the bank AI went,
God,
yeah, he's good for that.
Yeah, TD's new Layer 6 built AI does an auto application for you for a line of credit. Like, oh yeah, he can have the car.
All right.
Boy.
I'm sorry. I've completely.
Honestly, though, that's going to happen at some point. I give it 5 years. 5 years, and somebody is going to be like, I don't know what happened. I've got this $30,000 car in my driveway. There's no way I didn't apply for a line of credit. I didn't apply for auto financing. And we find out some rogue AI chatbot just did it for you. And now you've got a car that you're on the hook for.
Oh dear! All right. I've completely gone off the rails.
Back to the main topic here.
Hey, our good friends the CRTC.
Kind of. The Public Interest Advocacy Center has written to the CRTC urging them to investigate aggressive, inappropriate, and potentially misleading sales practices undertaken by Canada's digital services industry. Diabetes.
What? Are you telling me that sometimes when a price goes up by $5 at one, it goes up on $5 for all, Derek?
Well, no, that's not what this is about. Okay. Although, yes, that does happen. This is about specifically Bell, in this case, being referenced by John Lawford at PIAC. Apparently, Bell specifically tasked sales reps with pressuring customers into making purchases they might not need. I've definitely experienced that.
Yes, I've heard of this. Yes, because what happens is the poor sales flunkies, if they make their quota, they get fired.
Yeah, if you don't make Bell Bank, you don't get to take their checks to the bank either. Yeah. Not that anybody takes checks to the bank anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
You know what I mean.
I hope they investigate.
Yeah, so apparently a lot of these sales practices appear to have targeted vulnerable customers, including older Canadians, grieving spouses. There's a special place in hell for you for doing that.
Exactly.
And blind customers. There's another special place in hell for that. So, yes, the CRTC will take a look at the complaint and, of course, decide whether to hold an inquiry, and then which, of course, would be open to the public for comment and input. So we'll see what happens. You're going to have to follow it on your own, but we'll see what happens.
Very cool.
CES, a little bit of CES news. Yeah. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. I think that's really noteworthy. A folding TV that might be on the market in 3 years, 4 years. Everything has either Amazon Amazon Voice Services, or Google Assistant. Pretty much everything now. TVs, speakers, phones, doesn't matter. It's got one or the other, and in most cases, both. And of course, new laptops, new phones, new cars with autonomous cars and all that. Razer always has some sort of thing that they want to get some feedback on before they decide to actually make the product or not. This year, it was Project Linda. It's a companion piece of hardware for the recently released Razer phone. So basically, you plug your phone into Project Linda laptop. It becomes your touchpad, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
And then you get a full Android desktop on the screen. So you can call this a lap dock. You can call this a companion. Motorola Atrix obviously tried this a few years ago. Samsung has their Dex dock right now for Samsung Galaxy S7, S8 devices, and probably some others. But instead of just plugging the phone in and it being invisible, it literally turns into a functional piece of hardware as it being your touchpad. So that's really cool. No guarantee on whether this will actually be built, but there is a USB-C port it would be a USB-C port to connect your phone. It's almost like Android Auto, but with a laptop. It would give you some additional storage space, extra battery, of course. Your phone charges while it's docked, so you get that out of it. So this isn't necessarily new, but depending on the size of the hole, or the mount place for the phone, and the phone itself, depending on which port. I mean, I could see myself actually getting my Pixel in here, depending on the size there. Yeah. Even if it's a little bit smaller, or even if my phone is a little bit too small, well, I could still get it plugged in and use it potentially. But it's interesting. We'll see. See what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I have to admit I like this concept because, again, it's it's one less thing. Well, maybe not one less thing you have to carry, but for some people, that's like if I'm on the go, I may just need a laptop for like note taking and stuff like that. So yeah, I have to admit I kind of like this concept. So hopefully we'll see more of it. It also charges the phone.
Yeah.
Well, it's plugged into the laptop, which is kind of cool as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this, and hopefully we'll see more of this idea coming.
So, of course, a little while ago we heard about Toronto being awarded the first Sidewalk Labs project to turn a part of the not the docks, the harbor area into a super smart neighborhood. Well, the City of Toronto is also soliciting the public for their bid in the Federal Smart Cities Challenge. The challenge looks to solicit communities to submit bids based on innovation, big data, and emerging technology. The top finalists here would receive $250,000 to prepare more detailed proposals, and the winning city will pick up $50 million to implement and develop the projects proposed. Two cities with less than 500,000 residents will each get $10 million, and there's a $5 million prize that's reserved for communities with less than 30,000 people. All the funding for the challenge comes from a $300 million federal government investment. Toronto specifically wants residents to fill out a survey to let them know what the biggest challenges are when it comes to finding ways to innovate. The survey asks about things like connectivity, job growth, mobility, affordable housing, and other topics. There are some other examples in the survey, such as, quote, create a single mobile app to connect people and businesses to community services with built-in measurement of response times, user satisfaction, and feedback. So that would obviously be, a way to make things easier and track whether it worked. That's always smart.
Exactly.
There are other projects as well, like smart traffic, signal pilots, the city's partnership with Waze, and that sort of thing. Like I said, this comes hot on the heels of the Sidewalk Labs announcement, and basically the rest of this article here talks about how Toronto is trying to become, allegedly, Canada or the smartest city in North America.
Yeah. There's so many jokes there, but I'm not going to do any of them.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Last, but certainly not least, a bunch of Chinese Bitcoin mining farms may be coming. I was going to say stateside because that's a common way to say, moving from Europe or Asia to the U.S., but that doesn't. Are coming province side. So the People's Bank of China has actually told local officials to regulate power consumption of miners. A big part of this is actually that a lot of those mining operations are actually way outside the cities. In rural areas in China, and one reason is because the power is cheaper out there because, of course, supply is still high no matter what, and demand is much lower. But the People's Bank of China, the PBOC, doesn't really want that to be the case anymore. The PBOC doesn't have jurisdiction to regulate power consumption, but, of course, with everything being basically centrally controlled, they can influence local governments that do have the power to regulate power consumption. And apparently they're concerned that the power drain from Bitcoin farms is actually affecting the quality of their service to citizens in the surrounding areas. So there are, and I know that there are other companies already looking to do this. There are companies who have been setting up in Alberta and in Quebec because of, not Alberta, Manitoba and Quebec because of how inexpensive the power is, thanks mostly to hydroelectricity and the prevalence of that. But there are companies now like BTC Top, They have actually chosen Canada as a place to open new mining farms. They were attracted here because of low electricity costs, stable government, of course, a pretty light touch on cryptocurrency regulation, I'm sure, helps. Our cold winters, of course, helps because you can use some of that with some smart tech to alleviate at least the need for fans and air conditioning in the winter time. And there's no other ones listed here, but I know that there are some other companies. I've actually got an email. I don't think I can talk about it, but I do have an email from or about a company. Maybe I can. Nobody said this was. Nobody said this was confidential. There's a company.
What's the worst that happens?
Yeah, the worst that happens is they tell me to shut my mouth. There's a company called Mega Blockchain that is fundraising right now. I think they're just finishing up their fundraising round. They've raised millions to do the same thing, open up mining farms specifically in Canada.
Well, and it also makes sense in terms of, and the article touches on this, particularly in colder climates, because it's, you build your data center in an area that gets a lot of snow over the winter and a lot of cold. Yeah. That helps with the heat distribution.
Yeah. And there's actually another company who's already set up in Winnipeg called Myera Group, Myera. They have a Bitcoin mining or a cryptocurrency mining regulation, and they use the excess heat to power a greenhouse and a fish farm and they use a fish farm to regulate the temperature control through waste heat. So yeah, that's pretty cool and a smart way to mitigate any potential concerns over the your power usage.
Cool.
But like, well, I'm using the heat and somewhere else, no worries.
There you go. Exactly.
And that finally does it for the quick hits.
Actually, I've got one little breaking thing in regards. Oh, yep. See, on regards to our public advocacy group, calling for the CRTC inquiring into some of Bell's sales practices. Yeah. There's actually a CBC story, which I'm just adding the link now, because CBC originally broke the story about some of the shenanigans at Bell.
Right.
Now, surprise, surprise, there's similar shenanigans at Rogers.
Oh, so you don't
similar
say.
Things there. No, I know, imagine. So I'm going to add the link there. I just did. So, yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, now that's all the news, the quick hits that's fit to print, talk about, whatever. So now we're going to have a word from our good friends live tonight by Derek, all about our good friends at Olio.
From the Crypto Canuck.
There you go. I gotta find a sound effect.
I've got a gun sound effect, but it sounds like a gun. It's not some person going pow pow.
You need laser beams.
Or pew pew. Yeah. So Olio Digital Labs is one of Canada's most accomplished smaller market agencies, delivering web and mobile apps to businesses across Canada. In this era of persistent connectivity and pervasive mobile devices, it has become more important than ever before for businesses to be everywhere their employees and customers are. That's why Olio provides its clients with the peace of mind only a highly skilled and experienced team can provide. A team that's big enough to support your needs, but flexible enough to work to your constraints. With a client list spanning from the Middlesex London Health Unit and Ellison Travel and Tours, all the way up to College Pro and the Home Depot, the team at Olio has proven itself to be the planners, designers, and builders of the web and mobile apps used by some of Canada's largest brands. And smallest. Find out what Olio can do for you by calling 226-785-0420 or visit oliodigital.labs.com to learn more. That's Olio Digital Labs, code that powers every day.
And we're very happy to have Olio as a sponsor of the Canadian Tech Podcast. Okay, topics.
Your turn.
Yeah, my turn. A few things happened over the holidays. We're going to start off with this one. Now, the link I have is from the Guardian story from the 4th. A little bit of alarmness there, but yeah, this is pretty serious. These are two exploits found initially in Intel chips, but then now it's also affected the odd AMD one. They're basically being called Meltdown and Spectre. A la James Bond. Spectre, get it? I'm just saying,
Yeah,
some
I
of
know.
us of a certain age.
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. So these are critical vulnerabilities, and these processors go back like 20 years. So mostly Intel and that. Now, from what I've read, there's a lot of, it's a concern, but also in a lot of cases, you almost need physical access to the machine initially. But this is, again, this is a new attack vector. So people are talking about it, and it's worried. Now, the problem is, though, some people have been reporting, both Intel and Google and everyone who has a processor and browsers and all that have had patches. The problem is some people are experiencing real slowdowns with the processors when the patch is applied. So yeah, a lot of people aren't too impressed with this. But yeah, it's again, it just shows you. And like this is not just like Windows. This is Linux machines. This is like anything running an Intel processor. So
well,
it's,
almost any processor, actually.
Yeah, and now it's almost any processor.
Yeah,
it's a concern. Go ahead.
Which one has the variant 2? Is that Meltdown or Spectre?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I won't be surprised if there's more variants as they.
Yeah, I think it's Spectre variant 2. Yeah. AMD and even ARM processors are more susceptible to that one specifically rather than Meltdown. Or Meltdown, I don't think affects AMD or ARM at all. That is specifically in Intel, I'm pretty sure. But Spectre does affect pretty much every chip ever, unless you're on a RISC processor or a RISC platform.
Not too many people are on those.
Well, ARM is, I think, but beyond ARM chips, they're pretty rare, few and far between. Raspberry Pi and those sorts of things, I think, are all RISC based, but they're not many. IBM has their PowerPC chips too, which are RISC based. So
hey, so you know what that means? If you're running an old. So yeah, because if you're running an old Mac,
you keep that. No, you keep that AS400, buddy. That's what that means.
I got my Amiga. I'll keep that. I'm safe.
And the rest of us are just going to throw out all of our hardware and buy brand new processors tomorrow.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the fix.
That's the fix.
Yeah.
Cricket sound.
I wish. I mean, I wish I had a really good reason to actually throw out my Intel chips and buy some AMD Ryzen, but I don't.
Right.
If I do anything right now, I'd probably get an SSD and a video card, but.
Okay.
This sounded super serious. It's actually not, for the most part, because, first of all, you'd have to get infected with malware.
Yes.
Well, if you get infected with malware, I mean, you're done anyway. So it it matters, of course, whether or not the malware can actually start to poke around your CPU and potentially maybe get a password out of there, or something like that. But
because it's basically getting stuff that's in cache.
Yeah, exactly. So you copy something to your clipboard, or you're typing something, it can be there in the cache. But you can get malware in your computer that just keylogs. And or goes into your web browser and pulls out all your saved data and stuff like that. Like that's probably more likely to happen than what is essentially a highly speculative, we think this can be exploited situation that doesn't even have, to my knowledge, any proof of concepts out there yet. They're working on them, but they don't even exist yet. So don't worry about it, unless you're in a very I/O heavy situation, like running a database server, which of course I am in with my web servers. You're probably not gonna see any major slowdowns, if any slowdowns. And even if they are, well, if you've got modern hardware like a solid state drive with 8 or 16 gigs of RAM and a recent processor from the last 3 to 5 years, realistically, you're probably not going to notice at all.
Right.
So don't worry about it. Get the patches from your operating system vendor, whether it's Android or Apple, whether it's Google, Apple, OnePlus, Microsoft, whoever, Linux, of course.
Well, it's the same thing we've said. Keep your systems patched.
Yeah.
Keep up to date with your security. And yeah, you should be fine, and just practice safe computing. Just like Uncle Derek and Uncle Stuart have always said.
Yeah.
If more people listen to Uncle Derek and Uncle Stuart, I tell you, the world would be a much better place.
Moving on, Donald Trump is facing new accusation. Oh, wait, wrong story.
Wrong story. Whoops, wait a minute.
But apparently he had a porn star in his hotel room. Good for him.
Another one? Apparently 2.
No, this is the third one now.
A third one, okay. I better go to my news source, which is Facebook. Oh, wait.
This is from The Guardian. But anyway, yeah. I know where you're headed.
You're heading to our next story. You like that, how I did that? So, yeah, Facebook. Facebook's been getting a lot of heat. And CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been doing a lot of soul searching. And we kind of screwed up at the election and we let a lot of fake stuff go on. So what they want to do is, which is going to piss off a lot of businesses and stuff like that, they're going to slightly do some tweaking to your news feed. Therefore, Zuckerberg says Facebook users will soon start to see, quote, more from your friends, family, and groups, and less public content like posts from businesses, brands, and media. So in some ways, what this is doing is Facebook's going to kind of reinforce the bubble that people are comfortable and like. And, my initial thing is I hate to see this, but at the same time, I'm looking on how much people have been manipulated. And obviously the stock price isn't not doing well, but I think Mark and people like that are realizing that, we really can impact a lot of things in the way the world works. So I think this is a good thing. And we'll see what happens. I know, again, it's like anything. If you're a business, and this is what we've said before, if you're a business, you shouldn't be hosting your business on a place like Facebook. You need your own platform. This is where, our friends at Olio can help. You need to have it on your own platform. Consider Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. They're all like embassies, but you got to drive that traffic back to what you can control. Because obviously, as you see, Facebook could all of a sudden say tomorrow, well, we're not going to have, where your business was maybe hitting 3 million people. Now it's only going to hit 100,000. And you can't do a darn thing about it. What's your opinion on this?
As a normal everyday Facebook user who usually hops on a couple times a week, this is fine. This is great.
Yep.
It's amazing. Stock price took a hit. It's 6%. Whatever. Who cares?
Big deal. Yeah.
As somebody who manages, how many Facebook pages?
A lot.
Let's see. Counselor Derek Silva, Ward 4, Olio, Canadian Tech Podcast, Cocoville Food Truck. I heard that. 4 or 5.
Right.
This sucks, right?
Yeah,
this is terrible.
Yeah. From the business side, yes.
Now, I've always told people, you can't rely on this. You can't rely on Twitter. You can't rely on Facebook. You can't rely on Pinterest. You can't rely on anything you don't own. You don't own Facebook. It doesn't even matter if you own shares in Facebook. You own a tiny sliver of Facebook. Then you're not. You have no right, unfortunately, to tell them what to do in this case.
Exactly.
So, what do you do instead? You build up a really great website and you try to get all those ads to go, to get those people to go back to the website.
Bingo.
So, like you said, that's all you really can do is try to bring the traffic back to your website so that you can control the experience, you can control the messaging and all that. So, I'm surprised that they're doing this, but overall, I think it's better for everybody.
Yeah, I think what's happening is they're seeing what's happened both south of the border in the UK and they're realizing that how much people were fed a lot of, shall we say, truth challenged topics.
Yeah. Indonesia is going through this right now.
Yep, exactly. So there's a lot of it. And, unfortunately now, as I like to say, the kids now, this is where they get their news. Yeah. They don't go to the traditional news thing. And unfortunately, it's not just the kids, it's other people now. And, it's one of those things. People like seeing stuff that's normal to them, or like the good old, people talk about the good old days. And unfortunately, if it's being fed to them, now again, that's part of the thing. You're going to, reinforce some of those bubbles potentially. But at the same time, if it's going to, some falsehoods are going to affect an election, and someone who's undecided, they need the truth. Not one side, not the other, but they need the truth. And we've lost a lot of that through a combination of, the death of traditional journalism, the rise of social media. Everyone has a voice. Hell, we have a voice, right? Who could imagine? Could you imagine some big radio network giving us a show 20 years ago? We'd get laughed out. Exactly. We get sued in no time. But that's the thing. Everyone has a voice. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So I think that's what's happened. I think Mark's maybe he's had a real, obviously him and his family, he's starting to really think now that, okay, I'm influencing stuff, or my company is influencing stuff in ways that it shouldn't.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. So, all right, on to other bugs. Another one that makes me want to just facepalm from our friends at Apple, because Apple didn't have a good last quarter when it came to security. Well, the latest one, and again, there's patches, thank goodness already for this, but there's a new bug in Mac High Sierra. So basically, again, it's not as dangerous as people think because you have to have physical access, but how did this get past QA? It basically allows any user running the system in administration as an administrator account to change Apple Store preferences without a password. So for example, Derek, let's say myself and my wife, we've got a MacBook here. I have it set to run as administrator for both our accounts. Well, let's say I have it set to run as administrator, or let me give you a better example. Let's say your son and you have a MacBook, and you basically you have it as administrator, but your son doesn't know the password. Well, if he comes across your machine and it's unlocked, he can go in, and he doesn't need to know your password to get into App Store preferences. He can just type any password he wants in. Yeah. So apparently, what it is so things like like password settings. And this is something parents use, right? In-app purchases and stuff like that. So basically, what you can do is you can test it. And if you click on App Store, if the padlock icon is unlocked, click on it to lock it, and then click on it again to unlock it. And you can input any password in the box, and it unlocks it. Oopsie. So there is a patch coming soon. But, again, QA stuff, like this sort of stuff you think would be in the standard, QA thing. I'm not a coder. I just play one on TV, and I know a few. But you think that would be in kind of okay, this is one of the standard QA boxes we need to check off, right?
You'd think so.
Think so. Okay. Yeah. I'm not completely out to lunch there, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And this
just checking.
Yeah, and this comes after. What was the last thing High Sierra had a problem with?
Oh, something similar.
Another thing to do with you didn't actually have to enter the password, or if you kept entering in a password, a blank password or whatever, multiple times, it would let you in to do something. So my High Sierra has. What was the joke about? The joke Craig Federighi made. The marketing people said that the name was fully baked. Yeah, I think some of the developers were pretty baked too,
and the QA department, exactly.
QA department.
Yeah, you just you just wonder what the heck.
Yeah, it's that's the weird thing. It's like, how did this happen? And nobody seems to have a really good answer for it.
Right, exactly. So, and our next story. This is I really find interesting. It's one of those ones I went, why didn't I think about this? This is a company in Canada. And the founder, she was on mat leave one day, and her son had health issues. But there was no high-quality local data about air quality. So she couldn't figure out what triggered his symptoms. So she decided, because she's an aerospace engineer, she decided to come up with something. So Ambience Data is a company, and they're basically making Internet of Things air quality sensors. And the idea is you can deploy these to provide hyper-local air quality data. And through a partnership with IBM, they're uploading that data to the cloud. and it's going to aid in urban development. So this kind of reminds me, when I see this, kind of reminds me of what us weather geeks do. Like I have a weather station, and that uploads that data to Weather Underground, and they use that for forecasting and research and record keeping. So this is a really good idea, especially when we look at things like air pollution these days. I'm sure if you put your counselor hat on, local governments could see where this might be a good idea. And they've got some excellent products on their website and stuff like that. So, the idea is they're focusing on forecasting and prediction analysis. So they've got a series of products already with sensors and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of a neat concept. What do you think?
I think this is really neat, and apparently they've seen situations where the governments aren't sure if they want the data because I guess they don't want to know how poorly they're doing, tackling climate change and all that. Personally, I think you got to know, and you're never going to know whether you're spending money in the right place. We're seeing a lot of cities taking the lead, especially down in the U.S., because the federal government down there doesn't want to. We don't really have that problem up here. People would probably argue, the exact opposite in some cases, which is fine. But how else do you know? Like, you can't just measure smokestacks, and you can't just measure the way the weather over time, which then turns into climate, is behaving. You actually got to measure the air quality itself. So personally, I think the federal government should be putting one of these in every city, 50,000 people and over or something like that. Set some sort of cutoff so they don't need to blow millions and millions of dollars to get the data. But I think it would be really smart for even, a place like Middlesex Centre, Thames Centre, Strathmore Caradoc, smaller municipalities like that, to invest the, probably a couple $1,000 to buy the hardware, and then $15 per month service fee for the Blue Jay itself to get the monitoring dashboard. So you can see exactly CO2, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, your temperature, your humidity, your air pressure, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It reminds me, it's a similar model to what Meraki did for basically Wi-Fi. We put free Wi-Fi into downtown London. They had a similar dashboard model, and the idea was make it as simple as possible, keep the hardware cheap, and enable people of all communities of all sizes to do it. So I think it's a fabulous idea.
Yeah, I think so. So I was just checking the most expensive Blue Jay. So that's the one with that actually takes all the data from the sensors and reads it. That's $600 US. Your Sparrow is separate, and then you've got their sensor catalog. But so like I said, for a couple grand, you could probably get all this data, and then you'd actually have more localized air quality data for pretty fine grain particulate matter between 2.5 and 10. So.
Right, exactly. So, and again, like anything else, hardware cost will go down.
Of course.
So, I think this is a fabulous idea. Okay, moving on to our last story, and this one is all about blockchain. Therefore, it's all about you, Derek.
So, BC is looking at a few different ways to, experimenting with blockchain technology. The Ministry of Citizen Services, they've started with a trial around business registration. No, that doesn't sound particularly exciting, but it does solve some issues. So right now, here's the example provided by the Times columnist. A BC company could register in BC and then again in other provinces. If the business owners forget to do their annual filings or they change their address without notifying each jurisdiction, the registration could be suspended. Well, that seems harsh for, a paperwork-related issue. So instead of having to phone each other jurisdiction and track down the problem, any changes to the shared record would be automatically recorded throughout the blockchain. So you got your business in BC, you've got an Ontario branch, you move the Ontario branch or you move the BC headquarters to Saskatchewan or something, you only need to make that change once. You don't need to, call Ontario. You don't need to call BC. You don't need to call Saskatchewan. You just do it once instead of having to make 3 or 4 phone calls or send a bunch of emails.
Right.
So they don't know yet whether the pilot project is a success, but this was an easier way to fix this problem rather than opening up a bunch of APIs and having all the different provinces and other jurisdictions connect to them and share that data, and hopefully it's all good. You just connect to the blockchain instead. Maybe it's a blockchain explorer. I'm not entirely sure how they're doing this, but this was an easier way to solve that problem. I did mention before the show, I'm like, you can solve this another way. Yes, you can, but Ian Bailey, who's the guy at the Ministry of Citizen Services, felt that this was an easier way. So, fair enough. IBM has also been pitching to BC that they use blockchain technology. IBM has their Hyperledger open source blockchain to track pot, marijuana. So you could track where and how the marijuana is sourced, sold, priced, all the way from seed to sale throughout the blockchain. There's a woman at UBC, Victoria Lemieux, said that a bunch of challenges still remain, but that's mostly because the tech is new, of course. But it does have the potential to transform financial institutions and disrupt how governments work, and I think we've all seen that. So I think we all know I'm bullish on blockchain in general, and any blockchain does require generally a currency of some kind, a token to ensure that somebody's being compensated for hosting a node and actually processing the transactions. With the government, maybe that's not necessary, but other, industry. I'm not sure what that was for, but that's okay.
It was a precursor to my joke about, of course you need a token.
Oh, jeez.
No. I finally got the sound effects working in time for the last show up.
Yeah. So it only took you 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Okay, I'm done.
Anyway, there are a bunch of ways to actually decentralize this. These aren't decentralized examples of how to do this. Distributed, sure, not decentralized. No. And in a decentralized scenario, you would definitely need a token or a coin or what have you to ensure people are participating and hosting the nodes and getting compensated for hosting those nodes. Yeah. Which is why blockchains and some sort of currency really go hand in hand. But otherwise, this is a centralized use case. But I think these are smart use cases.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart,
it makes sense. It makes sense. Again, you're far more into it than I am, but the idea of if it helps, particularly if it helps simplify running a business, the idea about the registration, I really like that idea. So and if it helps keep a monopoly away from things, then I think you can't go wrong. So there we go. All right. Good. That's all the topics. Now we're going to pause for a brief word from our good friends at CodeShip.
CodeShip is a SaaS-delivered continuous integration and delivery solution that lets you ship your apps with confidence. You can choose between CodeShip Basic and CodeShip Pro. Basic is a simple testing and deployment services with pre-installed CI dependencies that works right out of the box, making the average setup time less than 3 minutes. Or give CodeShip Pro a try. The Pro version is a fully customizable CI and delivery service with native Docker and support, and it is a lot easier to use than Jenkins, Travis, pretty much everything else out there. It makes it really easy to test and deploy your microservices. You can push to any registry. It's also perfect if you want to deploy with Kubernetes, and it comes with a convenient local command line tool that allows you to run your builds locally, helps encrypt your environment variables, and guarantees 100% parity between your development and production environments. Both CodeShip Basic and CodeShip Pro come with a free plan that grants 100 builds per month, unlimited projects, and unlimited users. Open source projects are always free on CodeShip because CodeShip is awesome, and so are open source projects. So visit codeship.com today or check out codeship.com/features to find out which CodeShip product is the best fit for you. Just don't ship your pants.
Ooh, that was good. Just for that. There you go.
Thanks, Kmart.
There you go. Excellent. All right. And of course, we do, of course, wish to thank CodeShip for their support of the Canadian Tech Podcast. All right, moving on to stuff we like. My pick of this week is, I've been doing a lot of work now at the University of Western Ontario, so I'm getting back into the science side of things. This is something called Zooniverse. This is kind of similar to SETI, where it's citizen science. Citizen can help contribute to sorting out data and stuff like that for science. So several of you may have heard about how some citizens helped find a new solar system about 40 light years from Earth, which have 5 planets potentially in the magic and habitable zone. And that was done using data from various space telescopes. And then regular people would analyze that data and look for if the light curve went down, which would show if a planet or an object was in front of it. So that's one of the Zooniverse projects, but they have a ton of different ones. They do stuff from Galaxy Zoo, identifying galaxies, stuff involving with chimpanzees, transcribing handwritten documents from Shakespeare's contemporaries, just a ton of things. There's currently 70 projects out there right now that are looking for volunteers, and they want people to help. Like I said, all sorts of things, fossils, wildlife counts. There's actually one I remember seeing about, which was talking about, they've got a bunch of old weather data from Europe. I believe it's in England. And from about 1940 to like 1970 or something, basically they've got these in physical logs, but they don't have them electronically. So what they want to do is they want to be able to get these in and enter the data because it helps in prediction. So they've got old whaling logs, and they've also got old Arctic voyages from the Navy and Coast. And there is another one for weather stations in England. I just can't find it off the top of my head right now. So there's some interesting things. And again, it's a nice little portal where you can contribute. And it's quite good. I've been playing around a little bit with Galaxy Zoo. I've done that for a couple of years, and a few other little ones. So just a neat little site you can definitely check out. And if you want to feel like you're basically playing a part and helping, so that would be a good thing. The one I was thinking about was called Weather Rescue. So it's unearthed forgotten weather records from across Europe.
Cool.
So it's kind of neat. So that's Zooniverse.org. What have you got, sir?
I've got the Engine cryptocurrency wallet. What else is new?
What else is new? Yeah, exactly.
So Engine is a company that has a very successful token sale last year. They're very gaming focused. There's actually a company that's already been in existence for like 4 or 5 years. No, longer, since 2009 in Singapore. And so they've got the Engine network that's already been running, and so they, have been hitting hard with the cryptocurrency platform. So they sold Engine Coin, so there's a bunch of people now holding that, and part of that was the Engine wallet. So the Engine wallet actually looks really, really good. I was talking to an acquaintance of ours, Corey Birch, about what would you think about designing and developing a really, really easy to use cryptocurrency wallet? And he's like, well, what would be the reason? And so I gave him some ideas, and he's like, oh yeah, that's cool. I think that's fair. And he's like, well, have you seen Engine Wallet yet? And I went, no. So I downloaded an Engine Wallet. I used the rather easy to use import for my Jax wallet, and I gotta say it's really nice to look at. I would say it's rather secure. They have their own whole wall or keyboard that they've implemented, so it doesn't use the normal Android or iOS keyboard.
Right.
So that, in theory, adds a level of security, because there's a key logger or something like that. That's probably not infected. Their keyboard's not infected. And, it looks really, really nice. It's really easy to find token transfers and purchases and sales and stuff like that. And has support for a lot of coins. Not every coin that it should support, in my opinion, but definitely a lot of them. Zcash is missing for some reason. Monero is missing. So stuff like that. So I was kind of hoping to be like, ooh, this looks like it would solve a lot of my issues around like multiple wallets when I really don't need multiple wallets in a lot of cases, but not quite there. So, but it's really, really nice. And so if you're looking for a pretty secure wallet, or something to try out, but you don't necessarily want to abandon your existing wallet, well, you can import from Bread Wallet, Coinomi, Jax, IMToken, a bunch of other ones, and you just basically any other wallet that you can get your private key out of, or your restore phrase.
And I see it's available right now for Android, and an iPhone is coming this quarter, 2018. They said.
So I've got the Android version, of course. I didn't realize it wasn't ready for iOS yet, but if you got an Android device, try it out now. If not, wait a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. No, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And that's Engine Wallet. Very neat. Okay, see, one day Derek's going to become a multi-billionaire, and then he'll remember those friends.
Absolutely. I'll hand out a couple grand here, a couple grand there, because why not?
Now, see, you know what needs to have these wallet things. You know how you got the rap stars or whatever, or people with the money, they just slide it. Like the upward movement. You get money, and you get money.
Oh, making it rain.
Making it rain. Sorry, yeah. See, I'm not hip. I'm not hip in these things. Yeah, exactly.
Sliding it up.
Yeah, you know what I mean. All right. Yeah, exactly. You see, I'm as still hip as I need to be.
Oh shoot!
Maybe not.
Oh, Stuart. All right. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? God. Well, as I said, I was sick for most of the holidays. We got Christmas in, and then I got sick. It was funny. I was working, people know, I was working two jobs over the holidays, so 16-hour days, pretty well all the way through. And I was making sure I got my sleep and everything like that. But I must have got something the last day I worked at the LCBO. I must have caught something. But yeah, not fun at all. So any of the plans between Christmas and New Year's, I think for the first time in a long time, I was in bed by 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve. My wife caught it, so she wasn't happy either. So yeah, so there was that. So all the stuff I had wanted to do over the holidays did not get done. And I'm finally paying a little bit of catch up now. So I'm also really enjoying the contract position. I'm at the Schulich School of Medicine and Dentistry at the University of Western Ontario, helping out with their help desk. It's a contract job, but I'm keeping fingers, toes crossed that I want it to turn to a permanent position, which has benefits. That's always good. But I work with a really good group of people, having fun, being able to walk around campus, various buildings and that. So keep an eye on my Twitter feed. I've been throwing up the odd picture. Do you know they have a glass blowing place at Western?
I did not know that.
They do. It's a guy I found in the physics and astronomy building. He's actually part of the chemistry department, but they'll do because they do the custom made glasswork for the chemists, right? But he also does other things. There's actually a video on YouTube. French guy. He wasn't there in the studio when I went by, but at some point I'm going to go in and have a chat with him. So it was kind of neat. But yeah, all sorts of really cool things. So. Neat. So that's what's happening there. I'm hoping, as you know, you're talking about podcasting too. I'm hoping to kind of expand on at some point, the hobby podcast. I build model kits, as some people know, and hopefully I want to start a podcast there. But there's also still looking for, if the contract doesn't go through, still looking for more, trying to do some writing, get some training guides out, different things like that. So that's where I am right now. What about you, sir?
So I had a nice holiday season. I'm enjoying the Google Home Mini and the Chromecast I got for Christmas.
Awesome.
Those were fun. So I've got both of those set up in the bedroom. And I can do things like control the Chromecast by talking to the Google Home Mini. So that's always fun. And it's been nice. The Chromecast, of course, nothing's ever 100%, but it works really, really well. It's nice to be able to just, go into the Netflix app on my phone, cast to the TV, and, pick a show on Netflix and stuff like that. So that's been really nice. Kathleen and I were just at her company's country-themed New Year party on Friday. They don't do a Christmas party; they do a New Year party. And so if you're lucky enough to be Facebook friends with me, you would have seen my facial hair, the way I shaved it for Friday night. Basically, what's his name? Sam Elliott, but younger and not as bushy.
It looked good.
Or one person said Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah, I saw that one, and I have to kind of agree.
What's that Machete movie? I was thinking of that guy. What's his name? Yeah, that dude. What's his name? Danny Trejo.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Oh, not mine was actually lower. Yeah, no. But that's who I thought of. I was like, oh, what about like Danny? He's 73. He looks pretty.
Yeah, I know.
73.
He's pretty badass. He'd kick both our asses.
Yeah, he would. I'm not messing with him. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. I'm not a big country music fan, but definitely I made the most of it. I won the bull riding competition. I stayed on the mechanical bull for 29 seconds. It only took me 6 tries to stay on that long. And the COO had previously set a record with 24 seconds. And I was like, no, he's an old fart. He can't win this. Yeah. And so once I was
he's a country boy. He's used to riding sheep.
No, he's not.
This is Kathleen CO. Sorry,
Kathleen COO. Yeah,
I was thinking of your CEO.
No. So I was like, no, this can't stand. And so by the time I was like 9 or 10 drinks in, I was like, let's do it again.
Which is normally what happens, yes.
Yeah, so on my
9 or 10 drinks in.
On my 4th try, 29 seconds. It was great.
Well, the good thing about that is the previous 3 just bounce when you fall off. So.
Oh well, yeah. It was like basically like a bouncy castle underneath.
No, but I'm saying the booze helps too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it really got the hips moving, so I could stay on. And I came in second place for the Bloom Token Community Rewards Program. I talked about Bloom a couple times here on Twitter and even Facebook, and I was really, really active in their Slack community and Telegram as well. And I was rewarded handsomely with I'm going to be rewarded handsomely with $3,000 worth of their token.
That's awesome.
So, assuming that's at the original token sale price, that's going to be worth more like 4 or 5 right now, based on closer to 4. Let's see, what is it trading at on IDEX?
I don't care what it is. That means you're definitely buying coffee next time.
Sure, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not going to keep this all. I can't. I have no reason.
Ice cream's on Derek, kids.
So it's 0.001422 Ether per Bloom token. Last price on IDEX, which is a relatively new but getting much more popular decentralized exchange, was 0.16. So that's up. Was it 178 or 0.00178 Ether? So either way, at current Ether prices, that's I don't know. It's literally worth it. It's worth at least $3,000. I don't need that much, so I'm gonna sell some for sure.
Yeah, and I like and I always liked what Bloom was doing and their mandate and their mission and that. So good for you, man.
Yeah, they've launched the Phase 1 apps, so those are ready. And they've got a bunch of things to vote on right now, so I'm going to be checking that out.
So does this mean you're bringing donuts into Olio on Monday?
Not on Monday, no.
No, okay.
We just had cupcakes for somebody's birthday on Thursday.
Right.
So
that's another great thing at Schulich. One of the staff there, she is an amazing cupcake maker. So we just had a birthday too. Nice. And we had the most amazing cupcakes. I'm not allowed to mention that to my wife. She gets annoyed because I couldn't bring her a cupcake home. So, there you go. So what else? What about things happening on council?
Well, there hasn't been any council meetings since between the last meeting and now. There wasn't one on the 20th, December 20th. We passed the budget. 1.99% property tax increase.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's better than London and probably better than some other jurisdictions we'll hit.
Yeah.
So we did that. And what I was going to say next is that I'm thinking of becoming a crypto-focused YouTuber or podcaster. Mm-hmm. So don't unsubscribe to Canadian Tech Podcast.
No,
we'll probably
please
come
don't.
back at some point in the future. Stay here, and you might get the first episode or two of whatever I decide to do there, if I decide to do something there. I'd like to think I could do something unique, or at least interesting and informative. A lot of 101 type things, interviews with people who are doing their own token sales and starting their own companies, but not like, oh, we want to revolutionize gambling. Who cares? Like, this is this is not important stuff.
Exactly.
Really game changing stuff like Bloom, like District 0x, like ETHLend. Those ones I've talked about on the show before. So we'll see.
And this is why you've come up with a possible name,
right? The Crypto Canuck, which apparently. So I don't know how .ca is taken. It's not doing anything. Right. .com is taken as well, but doesn't seem super active.
Right.
There's a store, but yeah, there's So they've got like some 101s on. Oh no, this is actually like. No, this is like nothing's actually been done yet. It's like, oh, buying cryptocurrency. Here's a little bit about Coinbase, but no link to Coinbase, no link to actually how to do it.
Someone's just sitting on the domain name.
Yeah, for the most part. A little bit of information about different kinds of wallets, not about actual wallet software or hardware. Some terminology, how to identify scams.
Yeah, you know what? These days, I always say now, these days, thanks to like search engines and stuff like that, the domain name's not as important as it used to be.
Yeah.
Or having the .com. So you'll come up with something.
Yeah, so I'll come up with something. I really like the Crypto Canuck, but even if it ends up being something else, that's fine. And I think there's an opportunity to really do some different stuff. Of course, I'll probably do some things in Portuguese there because that's needed. But if I do that, I'll clearly identify those so that people know this is not English.
Exactly. So you were going to do Crypto Canuck or Canucks?
Canuck.
Okay, there is a fairly lengthy CryptoCanucks.com. Just saying, you can have a look there.
Yeah, or CryptoCanuck.show we were talking about.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is CryptoCanucks.com, there's a fairly fleshed out site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I will check that out, yeah. So maybe I'll go with something else. So there's something a little bit more original. We'll see.
There you go. So, anything else we got to say?
Peace out, suckers. I don't know.
Peace out. I don't know. We'd normally say, subscribe and all that, and we still say that.
Sure, yeah. Or, you could still hit us up if you've got speaking opportunities, come meet and greet
as I said,
opportunities. You can still send those to us.
We're not putting the close shutter up. We're just putting the out for a break shutter on.
Yeah.
Sign out for a while. So definitely. But yeah. So as usual, check us out on iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Player FM, iHeart.com, wherever else you get your podcasts. We have Twitter and Facebook profiles. Send us an email at contact@canadiantechpodcast.ca.
Techpodcast.ca, yeah.
Or
the email address is contact@canadiantechpodcast.com.
.com, exactly. So
or .ca,
right.
.ca.
.ca, that's CA. I always get confused.
Contact@canadiantechpodcast.ca. Maybe we should take an opportunity to slim down the number of.
Yeah, we might look at that as well. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll have a look at that. So, all right. So for Sunday, January the 14th, 2018, for the Canadian Tech Podcast, my name is Stuart Clark.
My name is Derek, the Crypto Canuck. For now, Silva.
Thank you, and be well.